Alright guys, welcome back to another video. So today on round 2 of the Maia Chess Blitz Cup exclusively for streamers, I'm paired up against Jessie February, a powerful woman international master from South Africa. And she's actually pretty nice. She was one of the first of the streamers that decided to chat with me right at the round 1 of the classical portion of the tournament. And she's super cool. Okay, in terms of the game, I decided to play a French defense. She opted for the advanced variation once I played knight f6. And here I'm basically trying to counterattack on the d4 square, trying to push the pawn on c5 and create some chances over at the queen side. So right now with queen b6, I'm once again pressuring the d4 square. And eventually I will need to decide when to define the structure in the center. So here there's a little blooper where I decide to drop my king, which was a little bit funny. We laughed at during the game too. But yeah, so right now that the structure is fixed, I need to play on the king side. So f6 might be a bit weird, but it helps me to get a little bit more space. And I know I have 3 pawn islands, but I will cover the dark squares with my bishop on d6. So she played this line which I actually knew, and I knew that it could be interesting to take on b2. The engine doesn't like it particularly well, but that is because the engine is prone to not like French defense positions, because usually white has more space and attacking chances thanks to the light squared bishop. However, I knew that in terms of practical play, especially in blitz, it could be playable, so I decided to exchange the bishops. And now I take on b2. I'm just checking the line, but I decided to take on b2 because now she needs to figure out what to do. Eventually I can come back with my queen. I just need to make sure that once I castle, I use that f file pretty well with my rook. She challenges my queen, and I decide to not be a professional pawn grabber, and I don't take on a2. Queen a3 eventually prepares like an escape route with my queen to d6, which happens on the board right now. So here I'm trying to hold on to some dark squares, and any exchange that happens on e6, I can automatically get rid of my French bishop, the light squared bishop, which is the bad bishop because it is inside the structure and hitting that rock on e6. So I'm feeling kind of comfortable here, knowing that the pressure is on her. She's the favorite, and since that first round I played with a bit of, I don't know, little fear perhaps. Here I decided to go all out in terms of play, be a bit more aggressive perhaps. And yeah, so knight g5, I was like, okay, so this knight is in my backyard, I need to kick it. And I was just thinking if there was anything wrong with h6. Since I couldn't find anything that was wrong in the immediate play, I decided to play h6 because I could not see any follow-up. And if she takes on e6, I can get rid of the bishop. So that was the original plan. I know that my light squares are a bit weak in that case, but eventually I figured out that after all of the exchanges, I could be able to hop my knight onto the strong outpost on e4 perhaps, which could be cool. So now that there's no bishop, b7 was hanging, so queen d7 was played with the idea of holding on to the b7. And one thing that is very important and key to notice is that I have a majority on the queen side. So eventually if all pieces are exchanged, my majority on the queen side may prove to be decisive because the kings are on the king side. Okay, so rook e1 was played, kind of a shaky move from her, perhaps due to the fact that g5 was coming from me, dislodging that knight that's on f4. And I decided that it was time to put that last piece into the action. I centralized my rook, and I'm hoping for the best, clearly hoping that g5 might be a candidate in the future. So she develops her queen now, and I'm thinking that once my pieces are where I want them, it's time to go forward. So there you have it, knight in the center, pressure hidden on f2, some ideas with queen h3, pushing that pawn, that h-pawn, h5, h4. The rooks are incredible. There are some ideas of sacrifices, rook takes f4, queen check. A lot of pressure on her position, and I'm basically equal now, but with a couple of dynamism. And her bishop is not that strong at all. So here if I take, bishop takes, which is not cool, I guess. So bishop takes, no, if I take that knight, she has bishop c4 winning my queen. That was the threat. So now I decide to simply crash through on f2 and have a position where I can have some chances against her king. That knight is poisoned because of that trick winning my queen. She's thinking a little bit, perhaps trying to know what to do with that e-file. She eventually decides to take, and here I obviously need to take with my queen, otherwise my knight on f2 will be loose and will be lost to the king. So I take it. In terms of time, in terms of clock, we are pretty much leveled. And now is a time where blunders could happen, and the position is getting a bit more critical, more open, where more chances could happen. But I'm fully focused. I'm zeroed in on the board. So queen c4 aligned the queen against my king with that light square diagonal. King h8, simply sidestepping, and kind of like waiting to see what she does. Here I decide to get rid of the piece that's kind of weird, which is the knight, and I take that bishop, which usually is the argument from white that the French defense could be bad, which is that the light squared bishop is powerful. A bunch of exchanges happen, and now king takes is a mistake because of check, and it's a double attack. I'm hitting the knight, and now g5, and the knight is pinned. So now that d5 happens, knight d8 wins the piece clean because she has no follow-up. However, I don't know why, probably because of stress, I played knight e7, and now she has d6 continuing the threat. After d6 I return to c6. My knight is hopping around, doing a little dance, and she pushes. And now after I take her knight on f4 and a bunch of exchanges happen, she promotes. I take, she takes again with check, king up, and now we are into an endgame. After queen f6 she takes and she trades the queens, and now I'm better because of that majority on the queen side that proves to be super powerful. Remember to always push the prospective passed pawn, the pawn that will eventually prove to be the one that you want, which is the b pawn. And here in this king and pawn ending she resigned. She was super cool. Even now we started to analyze a bit the position, talking about the chances that we had, about that line where I can take on b2 and eventually pressure. And we were talking about the sacrifice that I could potentially have on f4. It was super cool, yeah. So guys, this was round 2, super nice, and I'll see you on round 3. Okay, bye bye. Thank you.